Happy Sunday and welcome back to my channel for a fun Sunday sew-along. It has been a hot minute since I've been on here and done this. I pretty much took the month of July off unintentionally, but I'm really excited to be back with you guys and hope you guys had a wonderful July. I missed you. So if you were watching, I'd love for you to let me know in the chat, like where you're tuning in from, if you're excited about what we're going to be sewing up together, if you're going to sew along with me. I'd love to know. I am in Nashville or just outside of Nashville in my home studio. It has been quite a gloomy day with some rain and but cooler weather, and we'll take it. We will take it. It has been so hot here this summer. So hi, Sandra from Jacksonville, Florida. I'm sure it's warm where you are too. But yeah, no, I'm super excited to be back. I unintentionally took July off. And what I mean by that is like I took, I think the 4th of July weekend off because we had stuff going on and a lot of people are traveling. So I just figured, let's just skip a holiday week. And then next thing I know, I'm like battling my migraines. If you follow me on Instagram, you know that I struggle with migraines really, really bad. And so I dealt with that for a couple of weekends in a row, unfortunately. And then it just kind of, my son's birthday was like that. It was the Sunday, the last Sunday of July. So I was just kind of like, you know what? I'm just going to get through July and we'll start fresh in August. So thank you guys for being patient with me. I really do love doing these Sunday sew-alongs with you all. And so I didn't want to miss another one. So here we are, and we're going to make something really fun. Hi, Rosina from Raleigh, North Carolina. Thank you guys for tuning in. Okay, so we are going to make one of my favorite projects, which is just a zipper boxy bag. But the way I like to do it is a Quilt-As-You-Go method, which is this right here. But I'm going to show you how to make it without the Quilt-As-You-Go method, but in this, so it can go a little faster if you want. Both are great options. You can get different shapes out of your boxy bags. You can do different sizes. You can add tabs. We've got all sorts of fun things we're going to go over today. So I'm going to give you a few options and you can decide how you want to build your boxy bag. But these are really fun and they make wonderful gifts. And I'm really excited about this. So Orange County, California, thank you for tuning in. We go, Jess is from California as well. So Jess and Justin, hi, thanks for tuning in. I can see you guys all commenting over here, so I really appreciate it. Otherwise I feel like I'm just talking to myself. But yeah, so if you guys are excited to learn how to do this, now I would love to know in the chat if you've ever done Quilt-As-You-Go before or not. It's fine either way. And I'm just super excited to show this method to you because there are like endless possibilities of what you can make with the Quilt-As-You-Go method. And it is so fast, so fun, a great scrap buster. Jess says she's never tried it. Jess, this is going to blow your mind. I probably should have if I had planned to head a little further. I have a whole bin of projects I've done over the years. And I can think of 2 off the top of my head that I've made with this method outside of the boxy bags. One is placemats. Placemats are so fun with this method. I made Easter placemats, so I'll show you how I do this Quilt-As-You-Go method, but I did the method and then I cut it out in an egg shape and then I just bound it and it was so cute and I made a bunch of them for the Easter table. I made a needle book where you can store all your needles, but I did the outside cover with this Quilt-As-You-Go method. So super, super fun. Rosina says, I hope I'm saying your name right, sorry. I've never done it before and I'm looking forward to learning something new. Awesome, well, you're in the right place. Sherry is from Canada, hi. I'm going to attempt to do this with you. This is my first time here and first time with this method. Sherry, you've got it. And if you have any questions, the chat is the place to let me know. I keep an eye on it. I'll try not to go too fast, but just so everyone knows, whenever I do a live, it does live on my channel afterwards. So if you want to be like Sherry and sew along with me, great. If you want to do it later and just watch and take notes and ask questions so that you can do it later, and you can always come back to my channel and rewatch this live at any point. So when you go to my YouTube channel, you'll see all my main videos, but then you'll see all my live stream videos. And I've been doing a lot more of those lately just because they're a little easier to just get out there to you faster than like pre-recorded videos. But they're usually very beginner friendly projects because I want something that we can do within an hour, hour and a half together. And so my more advanced projects or more detailed time consuming projects, I usually pre-record and edit and post those over there. So anyways, with that being said, hi, Sally. All right, you guys are ready to make one of these. Look how cute they are. We got some fun lining. This is a great project for fat quarter bundles. I don't know about you, but I love to buy. Oh, well, I don't know why my phone was just talking to me, but it needs to stop. Anyways, what I was saying is if you love to buy pre-cut fabrics, fat quarter bundles, layer cakes, jelly rolls are great for this. All sorts of like pre-cut fabrics. I love to buy them. I love fat quarter bundles. And what I'm using today, these are simply fat quarter bundles, just a few of those fat quarter fabrics that I am going to be using. So you don't really need a lot of fabric. And one thing I'm going to say before anybody asks, I am the worst at like saying like you need exactly this measurement. I'm going to try to be better today, but like I couldn't tell you what size foam this was when I started. Same with this one. I just kind of cut it and then I sew it up and I'm like, oh, that's a fun shape. Oh, that's a different shape. Like this one's like low and wide, which I kind of like how much it opens, but this one's like taller and skinnier. So we're going to talk about how to get different shapes and different sizes, but that's the fun part of the method I'm going to show you is like, once you get all of it stitched and you are ready to turn it into a box with a zipper, it's really, really fun. Okay. You guys ready? Jamie said, I wanted to sew along today, but did not have the foam, but that's okay. I will watch today and sew it up soon. Yes. Okay. So let's talk about foam. I'm glad you brought this up, Jamie. So there's different types of stabilizers out there. You don't necessarily have to use foam, but I will say that all the ones that I've made use foam. I feel like it gives a really good structure, but still gives that pillowy quilted look, which is really fun. And the look that we're going for, right? So I prefer foam, but there are like firmer stabilizers out there that are thinner that you technically probably could use. Now, here's the key. I like fusible foam. I like anything that's going to make it easier. And with the Quilt-As-You-Go method, you're going to need it to be fusible foam. Now, there's two types of fusible foam. There's fusible on one side and fusible on two sides. So let's talk about that real quick. So I've got, well, it helps if I go to the right spot, doesn't it? And I'm going to make my screen a little bigger so you guys can see better. Okay, so let's talk about foam because there are options here and I want to show you what I mean. So this is double-sided fusible foam. When you do the Quilt-As-You-Go method, we're going to sew these strips on across here, but we're going to press it and sew and press and sew and press and sew all the way across, okay? And that is the Quilt-As-You-Go method in a nutshell. Now, some people like to do this and then not press their lining to the backside, and that's fine. If you have one-sided fusible foam, but you want to secure your lining to the backside of the foam, you absolutely can, and you just can use a little basting spray or something like that. So if you don't have double-sided fusible foam, that's okay. If you just have one-sided, that's fine as well. You can use a basting spray or fabric glue on the backside to secure it. I personally have done it both ways. I have done it where I've done my Quilt-As-You-Go pieces across the front, and then I added my lining. And when I do that, especially on a one-sided foam, a one-sided fusible foam, the backside doesn't fuse. My lining tends to kind of like be loosey-goosey in the bag. It's not a big deal, but it doesn't look as clean, okay? It's personal preference, okay? So it's fine, but it's not secure, okay? What I'm gonna show you today is I've already fused my lining to the back, and I'm doing that before I do my Quilt-As-You-Go, so it looks quilted on the inside and the outside. However, I prepped one for you all. So I am going to show you the Quilt-As-You-Go method, and we're going to do that here. But this one, I opted to not do the Quilt-As-You-Go method. I just use one big piece of fabric for the outside and one big piece of fabric for the inside. And I quilted it going both directions. So I have these like little 1-inch squares, okay, super fun. And I did that before I pressed the lining on, so it doesn't look quilted on this side. it doesn't matter either way. I mean, this is the inside, so it really doesn't matter. But if you want the inside to look quilted, then you would need to put the lining on before you quilt it, whether you're doing the Quilt-As-You-Go method or you're going to quilt just a solid piece. So you can skip the strips if you want and just fuse fabric to both sides of your foam, quilt it, and make a boxy bag. So these can go super fast, okay? So I wanted to show you this method of if you quilt it first and then add the lining, that's fine. Now, this fusible foam is not the firmest foam, and when you do quilt it, and you can see here how it's quilted, because it's not a smooth surface, it doesn't necessarily want to stay fused, especially the more you move it around, which is what I've been doing. So you're probably going to have to press it again before you start turning it into a boxy bag, which we'll do later. But I just wanted to show you what that looks like. And I'm just going to tack this down again because I've been messing with it, so it stays in place. So that's not to say that this won't separate a little bit from the foam as you use the bag, but it won't be as much as that other one where it wasn't fused at all. So it just kind of is up to you how you want to do that. But I just wanted to show you both options so that you can decide what you want to do. I like both. So this one, I quilted the front and then added the back, which is going to be my lining. So I'm going to set that aside and we'll sew that one up in a minute. This one that we're going to do with the Quilt-As-You-Go method, I'm going to do it all at once. So the inside lining and the outside, which is these strips, are all going to get quilted at the same time. So you can kind of compare the two. But are we ready? Do we have any questions about foam so far? Okay, let me ask the questions about foam because I want to make sure you guys feel comfortable with that. I buy bolts of it and I use it all the time. Where I can add a link of where, I'll be honest, the last time I bought fusible foam was before Joann closed. So I have a couple bolts of it still, but I'm running on the lower end and I'm probably going to have to buy some more, but there are some that I'll put some links in the description when we're done. And I can also add some links to the blog post with the supply list as well. So thank you for thinking of that. And the brand that I use is Pellon Fusible Foam. I know you can order it off Amazon. I also know that you can get it from Hobby Lobby if you want to shop in store. And when you shop at Hobby Lobby, every other week is like 40% off. So that's a great time to get it from there. But I'll see if I can find an Amazon link for those who don't have a Hobby Lobby nearby or would prefer to shop through Amazon or online. I'll try to add one. And if I forget to do it right after, because by the time I get done with the sew along, my brain's a little fried and I'm doing a second live after this. So if I don't do it right away, just send me a message on Instagram and say, can you please remember? And I'll do it, I promise. But it takes a minute for me to get in and do it. All right, so let's talk about what else you need. I said you need fat quarter bundle. Let's see here. I have a couple of pieces here. This is all from the same fat quarter bundle with a little, this is Riley Blake fabric and it's called, what is it called? I just had the selvage out. Of course it's cut, right? Something glamping. Going glamping, I think is what it's called. It's got these cute little campers on it and florals, and there's polka dots and small ditzy florals and everything. And they're really stinking cute, really stinking cute. So I'll probably make a couple of these to finish up this fat quarter bundle. This fat quarter bundle has lasted me a long time and I've sewn a lot of fun things with it. So for this one, this is part of that bundle, this fabric, and then the colors that I'm going to use for the top. Let me switch to my overhead camera. Okay, so I've got my back and fabric fused on. My foam that I have that I'm using today, I believe, let's just measure it real quick, how big my foam is, roughly. It's 17 by 14. So 17 by 14, that's what I'm using. And what I did is I took a couple others of the fat quarter bundles with the florals that were in different colorways. And I cut them into 1.5 inch wide strips. And I did 1.5 inches wide because I'm going to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides. So it's going to end up being like 1 inch strips. So they're going to be pretty narrow. Here's the fun thing about Quilt-As-You-Go. You can do whatever you want. Once you learn the method of it, you can do whatever you want. So I could have 1 inch strips. I could have 2 inch strips. I could have 1/2 inch strips. I could have different size strips all the way across, which is super fun. And it's actually really nice when you have bigger, bolder prints to be able to capture more of the design, to go wider for those. So you want those. So maybe you have like, oh, let's see if I've got one. To give you an example. I thought I had a big, oh, here we go. So let's say I had this big bold floral. Well, if I cut this in these little strips, you would only see like that much of the design. So for this print, I would probably cut, you know, what, 2 to 3 inch wide strips to capture most of the big floral print. So when I stitched it on, you would see it. So that's something to keep in mind. And then if you have a directional print like these, just know that when you want them, you may want to have them go in opposite directions, because keep this in mind. As you are folding this over to make your boxy bag, if all of your campers are going one direction, well, that means they're going to be going the right direction on one side, but they're going to be upside down on the other. So if you have a directional print and you're going to cut these into strips, I would almost recommend that you have one going one direction and one going the other direction, and alternate them, so that when you have it fold over, that they're not all backwards on one side and right on the other, that they're going in different directions on purpose, and it looks intentional for them to be some upside down and some right side up, because as you rotate it over, there will be going in different directions, almost like they're driving right past each other. Okay, so just keep that in mind when you're using any directional fabrics, that you might want to alternate it. Now, here's another fun one. I'm going to show you today of how to do the Quilt-As-You-Go straight across. Okay, so all of my strips are going to just build all the way across this, but you can do these going at a diagonal. And when you do that, look how fun this looks. It looks like it's just wrapped with flowers all the way around. So you can go in different directions. It's totally up to you. Again, the method of Quilt-As-You-Go doesn't change, but how you choose to apply it is totally up to you. Dealer's choice, okay? So for this one, I am going to go straight across, but you could go this way. I could go this way. I could go diagonally. Now, here's the thing, if you go diagonally, and the reason why I'm not on this one is because my strips aren't long enough. So for example, and I've already pressed this one down, but for example, if your strip cannot reach from one end to the other, it's not long enough. And not only does it need to reach from one end to the other, it needs to have overhang. Okay, so these, I mean, I could sew them together, but I didn't want to do that and have seams across here. So I just opted to say, okay, I'm not going to go diagonally on this one. I'm actually just going to go up and down. And I can put these in any order that I want. And it's just for fun. I mean, we can change it up. I could do the same repeat over and over and over again, which is probably what I'm going to end up doing, just to keep it simple. But this is what it's going to look like. I like to lay it out before I commit to it, because then I can go, oh, maybe I do want to change that. Maybe this isn't exactly the look I'm going for. So maybe I do want to kind of have more of an intentional pattern like that, and not use as much of the white. Okay, so if I do that, what does that look like? And then I need another blue. You guys can help me decide what I should do. Do we like this design? Let me know. I'm glad you love these fabrics. Marcia, we are making a Quilt-As-You-Go zipper pouch. Wait, I messed something up. Oh, here we go. Are we liking this, or is it too much blue? Should I swap the blue and the pink and do more pink? Or do we like the alternating like I had it originally? I'm being indecisive today, so if you guys want to help me pick, that would be amazing. So yeah, that's kind of what we're looking at right here. Do we like that? Looks good. And there will end up being a few more rows on here, just because I'll probably get at least one more pink on here, just because once I use up my seam allowances, there will probably squeeze in one more pink. So it'll probably be more like that. If we think that looks okay, I think I'm going to go for that. You like the original better? Looks okay. So Rosina, let's see here. Cheryl, Penny. Okay, let me know. I'm going to give you guys a second to vote. Pink, blue, white, blue, pink, blue, white, blue, pink. I don't know. My concern with having too much of the white is it'll get dirty. But let's, just for fun, I'll just slide these over and we'll look at this option. And maybe this is better. I don't know. Do we like this better? And typically I will use more than just 3 prints. I'll use 4, 5, 6. It's totally up to you. You could just use 2 and alternate between 2. I typically use quite a few. I think I used 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 different ones on this one. And then because then when there's more, it doesn't look so repetitive. I think we'll just go with this. We'll just go with this. I just need to pick a design and say we're committing. Okay. All right. So this is the layout that I'm going to do. And so what I'm going to do is just kind of take these strips off and stack them in order so I don't get out of order. I highly recommend that you take the few minutes to do this because otherwise you'll accidentally get in a roll and then you'll put the wrong color down and you'll be so bummed because it's fused on and stitched on. All right, so Quilt-As-You-Go. It literally is exactly as it sounds. We're gonna sew this and quilt this at the same time. When you do Quilt-As-You-Go, if you don't put your backing on first, you won't see any of the quilting stitches. It's kind of like a hidden method. If you put your backing on first before you stitch this in, you'll see the straight lines on this side, but you still won't see any quilting stitches on this side. And that's because we're using the fusible foam as our friend, okay? So I've got my first strip and I went ahead and I pressed it down and I have it just barely hanging off the edge here. And the reason I do that is as you start sewing, your fabric kind of shrinks into the foam, but we can always trim it down. It's not the end of the world, but I always kind of hang it just a little bit off the edge, just barely. All right, so my next color is going to be this blue. Now it's going to go right here, but before I press it on, I want to sew it down. So I'm going to put it right sides together. There's no pinning or clipping necessary, and you really can't with this. I guess you could try to pin into your foam, but it would be a lot of work to do so. And basically what we're going to do is come over to the machine and we're going to stitch 1/4 inch all the way down. Now I do want to share one thing real quick. As I'm bringing this to my machine, I've got all this material over here. Just because I'm working left to right doesn't mean I have to sew it going that way. So I'm just going to flip it around because I want to make sure that my material is going out the side. I am going to change my foot real quick. I had on a different foot. So I'm going to put on a 1/4 inch piecing foot. You want to use a 1/4 inch seam allowance, just like you do with quilting. But here's the only difference. Typically with quilting, we are doing, where's my scissors? They're stuck to the top of my machine. Typically with quilting, we are doing 2.5 millimeter stitch length, like on a straight stitch. We are upping that I am upping that to 3.5, 3.5, because we're sewing through foam and I have the backing on here already. And so I just want to be on the safe side. So I'm going to come in here and line up my foot. And I'll switch my camera over. I'm starting right along the edge. You don't need to backstitch. And I'm just making sure that as I go, my fabric layers are straight. So from this side of my foot to the center is 1/4 of an inch. If I was going the other way, this side of my foot to the center is 1/4 of an inch. So it's one of those 1/4 inch piecing feet that is equal on both sides. Okay, so I've stitched it down. And we're going to come actually right here. Sorry, I know I'm moving you guys around on the camera a little bit. So I've got it stitched down. It's right on top. I've got my 1/4 inch seam allowance. And I'm just going to fold this over. And it's got this nice deep pillowy groove here because we're using that foam. And I'm going to use my iron and just press along, pressing this blue away from the pink. But here's the thing. This has got adhesive on it. We do not want to touch iron to this. So that's why I really love using the Aliso craft iron, because it really makes it easy to get close. But because it's a smaller iron with a really nice point, I can get close without ever touching the foam. We want to avoid touching the foam. You want to use a dry iron as well, which is really important. There's no steam, no water, no moisture. There we go. So now that that is fused, I can add my next piece, which is this white, and we're going to flip it over and do another 1/4 inch seam allowance all the way down. And that is it. You just repeat this all the way across your material, whether you're going left to right, top to bottom, diagonally, it really doesn't matter. It's the same method every time. Is my, oh, there we go. I was pushing the wrong button. All right, so I did this one. Grab my iron, flip this over. And this is why with these projects, I like to have a mini ironing station set up nearby. So I don't have to like get up and walk over to my big ironing station every single time I stitch. Now, if you were like, hey, I need to get up and move, go for it. Go get up and press every time. That's fine. Probably better to get those steps in than not. But if you're in a hurry or trying to knock out some projects, this little ironing station I have set up next to me is really helpful to just make this process go a little faster. So I'm going to attach my next one. But do you see how narrow this blue one got? Because I've used a 1/4 inch seam allowance on both sides. So I cut 1.5 inch strips. So when you use a 1/4 inch on both sides for your seam allowance, you're left with a 1 inch strip. And that's what shows. And we're just going to keep working all the way across this project. Now, obviously, if you're making a smaller one, it can go a little faster. If you're making a bigger one, it can take a little longer. It's totally up to you. If you use wider strips obviously will go a lot faster. Hi, Joyce. Nice to see you. All right, so I'm just going to keep working and pressing. And if you guys have any questions, this is a great time to ask. Like I said, this is a bit of a repetitive process, but it's actually really relaxing. I typically will turn on an audiobook or a podcast or sometimes a Netflix show or movie or something, especially one that I've probably seen a lot that I don't really have to pay attention to. I can just listen to it in the background. I'll do that a lot. All right. See how it's coming along? We've got our little strips. So we're going to take our next one, our blue one, we'll place it down and keep going. It's really, really fun and relaxing. If this is a new method for you, you'll find how enjoyable it is because it's really repetitive. So it's good practice, but also like, it's not like piecing where you're matching up points. It's very forgiving. So if quilting is new to you, this is a great project. Or maybe quilting isn't new to you, but you want to try bags and zippers. You're going to learn all about that here today too. All right. I'm just going to do a couple more and then we can switch over to the other one that I pre-made because this would take a hot minute to get through all these strips. But I just wanted to show the method so that you guys could see it. If you have any questions, please let me know. I will most definitely be finishing this one later. I love the colors of this. I use these for so many things. I use it for my makeup bag. I use it for storing sewing supplies when I'm traveling. I use it for like supplies in my car. Like I have like hand sanitizer and tissues and things like that in my car. And I have one of these in there. I mean, there's just so many ways that you can use these little boxy bags. Back to school. We've got kiddos going back to school. These would be great for storing all their school supplies and be really cute and unique. Not something store-bought, which is always fun to personalize. Now with the foam, when you're placing it under your machine, under your foot, you may actually, if your machine has that like extra lift, you may need to use it so it doesn't catch. All right. I run that edge of the iron right along the edge of the fabric and I press into the foam and it just works so well. There we go. These are really stinking cute. Really like it. And even after you finish doing all of your Quilt-As-You-Go across here, you could still trim it down and make it smaller if you wanted. So it's really forgiving if you're like, you know what, this is a little bigger than I wanted to make it. You can still trim it down. Or you could even do one big panel and split it in half and make two boxy bags, but you can go and do the whole Quilt-As-You-Go all at once. Joy says she's never done Quilt-As-You-Go anything. It's really fun. I have to say, like, it's really fun, and you don't have to turn it into a boxy bag. Honestly, I could finish this project by just squaring it up, binding it, and calling it a placemat. It is that easy. It's that versatile. It's super fun. And even after I do the Quilt-As-You-Go part, I mean, I could add applique on top, do all sorts of fun things. You could embroider on top. If you have machine embroidery, you could even do hand embroidery. Keep losing my foot. There we go. So let me know if you have any questions about the Quilt-As-You-Go method. Type of foam, Marcia, like Sandra said, I'm using Pellon fusible foam. Mine is fusible and both-sided. I love a two-sided fusible foam. But there's one-sided fusible foam. So you could just do the Quilt-As-You-Go on this side, and then you could either baste this on or just let it float, or stitch it on. So there's a lot of options when it comes to foam. Pellon is the brand that I typically reach for and use. So yeah, as you can see, this is just a very repetitive process. And, you know, doing different size strips, I'm using 1.5-inch strips. I really don't go smaller than 1.5 because it gets pretty narrow, but you absolutely could. Just know that whatever size strip you're using, you decide to cut, subtract 1/2 inch from that, because you're going to lose 1/2 inch on either side of your strip with your seam allowance. So that's going to make it get smaller and smaller. So my 1.5-inch strips have turned into 1-inch strips. How cute is this? And we're like, oh, we're almost halfway through. We're like 2/3. That's okay. You must be logged into his account, but I saw you say that your name was Cheryl before, so I hope I'm calling you the right name. But I wanted to ask a question. As you were sewing each strips, you can see the sewing on the other side of the fabric. You absolutely can. So let's flip this over. Let me switch to my overhead camera. So I've been sewing the strips on this side. You can see them hanging off here. And it's just straight line quilting on the back side. So whatever thread you have in your bobbin, you'll see on this side. And see how nice and smooth? I don't have any puckers or anything because I use double-sided fusible foam, and it's lightly fused to the back side of the foam, okay? So it's just securing it as we go. I'm going to sew a few more for those who are joining and have any additional questions. We'll sew a few more strips. I'm thinking bowls or boxes for storage. I'm definitely going to do this. Yes, Joyce. And I think bowls would be really fun. I've made some where I made like a square placemat type. It was a square. I added cute ribbon to the corners at a diagonal, and when I tied the ribbon, it kind of made like a little catch-all bowl. So it was like nice and flat in the center, but it came up on the sides with those ribbons tied in a bow. So cute. If we get done in time, I will pull down my bin of project samples and see if I can find what I'm talking about in there. I'm not sure exactly where it is right now. Now, if your machine struggles, mine's doing okay, but if your machine's struggling with the foam and the thickness, lengthen your stitch. Like I said before, I'm doing 3.5 millimeter stitch length. And if you need to, use a walking foot. Some machines just do better with a walking foot when working with thicker material. You do not have to use a 1/4-inch piecing foot, okay? I just know that my Singer Heavy Duty handles this pretty well. And look at there. I am almost out of my bobbin. Whoop. And there it goes on the floor. But that's okay because I have another one right here. I'm glad I caught it. There we go. Hi, Linda. Thanks for watching. We're making a Quilt-As-You-Go Boxy bag for our Sunday sew-along. I try to do these every Sunday, but sometimes life happens with like kiddos' birthdays, or I am just like having a really bad migraine day, or it's a holiday and I'll kind of skip those Sundays. But for the most part, you'll find me over here on a Sunday doing a very beginner friendly, easy sew along project, usually a good scrap buster. I would say these make great scrap buster projects, these Quilt-As-You-Go. So let's do another strip since we got some new people tuning in. We'll just kind of keep going for a minute. Pretty nails, they match the fabric. Yeah, that was unintentional. I just did them the other day. I do my own dip polish, dip nails, because it's too expensive to go do it at the salon every couple of weeks. So I just do it myself. And if you've ever wanted to try dip nails yourself, I actually have a whole tutorial on it. I've been doing my own nails for, I don't know, 2.5 years or so. Maybe 3. I can't remember. It's been a hot minute. I feel like I've perfected the method and they last a really long time and they look professionally done. So thank you for the compliment. It means a lot because I do them myself. And I save a ton of money because I do them myself. I always try to have my nails looking nice in my videos so they're not so distracting. All right. You know, this actually would be really cute. So if you don't know, my brother and sister-in-law are expecting baby number 2 the first week of October. And we are doing a baby shower later this month. And I may put this in her gift for me of handmade things that I'm doing for baby girl, because she's having a girl this time, first granddaughter or niece in the family. I have a son who's 19 and my brother has a little boy who is he'll be 2 in November, so 1.5 years, almost a little over 1.5 years. And the new little baby girl will be coming in October. So we're really excited to have a little girl. So this actually might make a cute little, like, throw a couple diapers or passies or stuff in. Everybody say hi to Biscuit. You see her? Where'd you go, Biscuit? She's down on the floor. Anyways, let's switch back over here. Joyce says, more money for fabric when I do my own nails. Absolutely, Joyce. Absolutely. All right, so I don't know if you can tell, but I've switched and flip-flopped. So I've done half of this. Now I'm going to do the other half. So not so much is getting bunched up here in the neck of my machine. All right. This is turning out so cute. But what I was saying is I feel like this would make a really cute, like, part of her baby shower gift. I know it's got blue on it, but that's okay. It's flowers, right? It's still mostly pink. And it's very girly, and girls can like blue too. And she's got a boy too, so it's all good. I just thought this might be cute to like keep passies or creams or an extra diaper and wipes in or something, like in her bags for like a quick grab as you go, like when you're running out the door. and you just need a little something. I think that would be a little cute little thing for a baby shower gift. Yes, no, maybe so. I don't know. I have a few things I'm going to make, time willing. And it's not all sewing, but most of it is. I don't think she watches my live, so I guess I can say it. So for my nephew, here, I'll switch to this camera. For my nephew, I made a rope basket, like a really big rope basket. I sewed the whole rope basket, which we talked about ropes on one of my Sunday lives not too long ago. So if you want to learn how to sew with rope, you can go watch that replay. And I wrapped some of it in fabric, so it had some pretty colors on it. And that was the gift bag for the, I don't like wrapping presents and I don't like gift bags. So I usually just make a rope basket as my gift bag. And then she can like use it to put diapers in. She can use it. He uses it for toys and books. So he can reach into it and it's down on the floor. Oh, you know what, Joyce? This would, if you make this longer, this would make a really good diaper changing mat because it's foam and it's cushioned. And you could just throw it in the wash if it gets, a little funky from changing diapers. But so I made a rope basket. So I think I'm going to do another one of those, but with a different color for baby girl. And then in it, I had put a crocheted puppy dog, like a smaller crocheted puppy dog for my nephew. And he loves it and carries it around with him everywhere. And I love how much he loves it. So for baby girl, I am making a crochet little deer that has a little bow or flower in her hair. Because we kind of live out in the woods a little bit. And we see deer all the time. We have deer run through our front yard all the time. So I thought that would be cute. And it's chenille yarn. So if you've never used chenille yarn, it's so soft, so soft. So I'm going to do that. Probably make some little baby clothes like sleepers, things like that. I haven't quite decided on all of it. I will be picking up a book. She did this last time. I don't know if she's doing it this time, but I'm assuming so. She asked everybody to bring a book and leave a little note inside the book for baby Levi. So we'll probably do the same for this new little baby. And I believe I got a little house plant. So my sister-in-law loves house plants. I can't keep them alive to save my life, but she really loves them and she enjoys it. And so I got a baby safe house plant that is okay for it to be in the baby's room so he could have his first house plant. So I don't know. I may do something like that again. I'm not really sure. Really just depends on time, but the basket and the little deer and this will definitely be in there. And I'll probably get a couple of little things like passies and creams and stuff and diapers and things. But yeah. So my mom's doing a quilt as always. I'll probably do one for Christmas instead because there's no way I can get a quilt done between now and like the next 3 weeks. Okay, so I've gone through my strips. Let me change to this camera real quick and to this angle. I've gotten to this point. Honestly, it wouldn't take me much longer to keep going and just knock it out. So I think I might real quick just so we can finish this one. I want to show you what it'll look like when it's done. If that's okay with you guys. I know this part of me stitching the same thing over and over isn't the most thrilling part of the live, but I'm hoping that we can just knock it out real quick and just sew this one up, start to finish, so you can see it, the whole process. And for those of you, I think Sherry, it was, said that she was going to try to sew along, so I don't want to go too fast that she falls behind. So just hang tight with me. I sew pretty quick, so at least that's what I'm told compared to others. All right. If you guys have any questions, just let me know. Let me tell you what we're doing later today. Okay, so it is 4:50 right now here at Central Time Zone. At 7 p.m. Central, so in just a couple of hours, I am going live again with my podcast co-host. So if you didn't know, I have a sewing podcast because I'm just obsessed with sewing, y'all. And I just love to talk about it, and I love to connect, and I love to educate. And we have a lot of fun doing it. So my friend Audra and I are the hosts of the Social Hour podcast. It's SEWCIAL, so Social Hour podcast. And we release a new podcast episode every Tuesday. Sometimes we have guests on, which is really fun. We've been interviewing some really amazing people lately. And these are people that are like friends of ours in the industry that you probably already know or follow. We have some pretty amazing people that are just so gracious and kind and love supporting us just as much as we love supporting them. And we're grateful that they have agreed to like hang out with us for like an hour on the podcast. So it's really fun. But that's not what I'm here to tell you about. At 7 p.m., Audra and I decided to do something a little different. We don't normally go live. Our podcast episodes are very much pre-recorded. We have guests and all of that, and we release them every Tuesday at the same time. But we're going to go live today at 7 p.m. because if you don't know, Audra and I also love garment sewing and fashion design. I actually went to school for fashion design. So it's like I love it. And if you did not realize, the new season of Project Runway has kicked off. The first 2 episodes aired last week, and they're streaming on Disney Plus, Hulu, and Freeform. So if you haven't seen them, hop on over there and watch them when we're done. But what we've decided to do is do a live every Sunday following Thursday's episode and just reviewing a recap of the show, like the designs, the drama, the judges, the special guests, the challenges are different every week. It's a lot of fun. So to kick things off, the first 2 episodes aired this past week and to premiere. So then following that, it'll be 1 episode a week. But the first 2 episodes aired last week. So we're going to review the first 2 tonight, which I'm really excited about. Which, am I doing the right color? See, you got to check. So we're going to like have fun and just hang out. But let me tell you, I kind of nerd out over this stuff. So I made like a whole slide deck with all the photos. We're going to walk through and recap the whole first 2 episodes. So if you haven't watched them, it will spoil it for you. But if you have watched them, come hang out with us at 7 o'clock. We're going to stream to my YouTube channel here where you're hanging out now. We're going to stream to my Facebook page. If you're watching from Facebook right now, we'll stream there. We're going to stream from the Social Hour podcast YouTube channel and Facebook page as well. And Audra has a YouTube channel. So we're streaming this in 5 different places. So there's 5 different ways for you to find us and watch it. It's going to be a lot of fun. So anyways, I just wanted to share that little bit with you because we're excited about it. Audra has never done a live before, so come cheer her on. Going live is not for everybody. It's not something that a lot of people are comfortable doing. But it was her idea to do it. So I said, well, let's run with it. I love going live. I hang out with you guys live. I go live for my job. I work for Caterpillar. So a lot of the products you'll see floating around, like my cutting mat right here and all of that, like it's Caterpillar products because I work for them. I'm their director of marketing and education, and I manage our virtual events and I manage our affiliate program. I do a lot. And so I go live every week for work. So I just am used to it. I used to work for Singer, Husqvarna Viking and Pfaff, and I did lives for them. So I love it. But like I said, it's not for everybody. And she's getting more comfortable with it. So she said she wanted to do it. And I said, well, let's go. And I was so excited about the idea. So through this season, I think it goes till like end of September or beginning of October, we're going to be doing a live every Sunday evening, recapping the previous week's episode. So I'm super excited about it. And I hope you guys come and hang out with us and join us. It'll be a lot of fun. Okay. I think I need like maybe 2 more strips and then I'm done. Because I need to make sure like all the foam is covered. um, let's see here. Hello, everyone. I'm liking this fabrics must watch replay. Yes, Francie, must watch the replay. We are doing Quilt-As-You-Go, which is a super fun method. And I'll actually switch to my overhead camera for this part. Let me switch to here. Here we go. So Quilt-As-You-Go, this is fusible foam. We started here and we've been sewing and pressing these pieces on as we went. And I've only got maybe 2 more pieces I need to do. And so you put it right sides together. You're going to sew a 1/4 inch seam allowance, and then we'll fold this over and press it onto the foam. It adheres to the foam, and then we just repeat that until we get all the way across our foam. And then when we're done, we'll square this all up and make it look really nice. There we go. And it's just a really fun little project. Where is my thread? Let me fix that. There we go. It came out of my needle. Oh, Claire, thank you for saying that. I'm the worst at calling that out. Claire said, hit the like button. 36 people watching and only 12 thumbs up so far. I would really appreciate it. Anytime you guys like, comment, share, subscribe to my channel. All of that is like the easiest way to support me being able to continue to do these types of things. I invest a lot of time and money into the studio setup and equipment that I have, the materials to sew along with you all and create these projects. So I appreciate that, Claire, for calling that out. And it really does mean a lot when you guys do that. All right, yeah, I'm gonna need 1 more strip and then we'll be done with our Quilt-As-You-Go and we'll move on to the next step. So thank you for hanging out and watching this part all the way through. There we go. I like to get it pressed down as good as I can. I need 1 more little white strip. All right. Love the Kasaya and Susan episode, Jess. They are so much fun, and they're some of my closest, sweetest sewing friends. I love them dearly. They are a hoot, though. Those 2 sisters together are so fun. We've been very fortunate to have some amazing guests on our podcast. Joyce, you can, if you don't have Hulu, Disney Plus, or Freeform to watch Project Runway, you can just join us for our live chat because we're going to go through every designer, everything that they made. I made a whole, like I said, I made a whole slide deck because I'm nerdy, like a slide deck, like a PowerPoint. Okay. I made a whole thing so that you guys can see all the pictures. And I did my best to find pictures as best I could. They didn't have pictures of every design, so I had to do some screen grabs, but you'll see it. And can kind of watch that way if you want. There are some websites that allow you to watch it for free. So, and by the way, Freeform, I think, is a free app that you can put on a smart TV if you have one of those. So check it out. But we're gonna have fun with it. What fabric line is this? Love the fabric. Okay, I love that you asked this. We talked about it earlier, but I'll show you again. It's the it's called Going Glamping, I believe is what it's called. It's on the selvage, but the other one was cut down and it was right where it said it. So let me see if I can. Gone Glamping by Lori Whitlock. It's from 2024 and it's Riley Blake. So there are prints that have little campers on it. There's campers and florals. There's big florals. There's little ditzy florals. There's other ditzy florals. There's polka dots. There's a lot of different colors. This is also from that line. So it goes everywhere from like navy and teals all the way to like pale pinks, yellows, reddish, deeper pinks. It was a lot of colors, and it's really fun. So I love it. I got a whole fat quarter bundle, and I've made a huge quilted tote bag. I've made 2 of these boxy bags, and I still have more of it. So a little goes a long way with this fat quarter bundle. All right, I am going to square this up, and I'm going to switch to the overhead camera. Jess says I haven't watched Project Runway in years, but maybe time to get back into it. Jess, you know what? Same. All right, so I'm going to flip this over, and I'm going to trim this up along the foam so I can feel where the foam is. But do you see how nice my quilted lines look? Oh, it's so good. All right, so I can feel the foam. I'm just going to do my best to kind of square this up. And I'm using my flip and fold cutting mat from Caterpillar because it has great grid lines that I can kind of line this up with. So oh, love that when it just peels away so smoothly. So I'm going to do that side, and then I'm going to square this side up by using that straight edge that I just made. So this straight edge is now lined up, so I can come over here and line up with this straight edge. Oh, didn't get it as good that time. There we go. So we're just squaring this up with all these little strips that we cut. There we go. Voila. Okay. So now I've got it all squared up. It looks really nice from both sides. I love it. It's just adorable. So thank you for helping me pick out the order of fabrics. All right, next step. Where did my zippers go? Ah, here we go. Got a little table under here. And we're going to talk zippers. All right, so we're going to install a zipper. Don't be scared. I promise it won't bite. It's really fun and easy. There's so many different methods for doing zippers. I try to keep it really simple and easy for everyone to enjoy the process of doing zippers. Where's the other one? So we're going to kind of do this like simple method here where we're going to attach both sides of the zipper, flip it over, top stitch it, put on our zipper pull and be done. And then we can turn it into a box, and that's it. Like, honestly, the longest part is the Quilt-As-You-Go part, okay? And again, you don't have to Quilt-As-You-Go. You could do a solid piece of fabric on both sides and then turn this into a boxy bag. So just wanted to show you options. So I like to use zipper tape. I believe I got this off Amazon. I didn't link it, but I can later. So whoever wanted me to link the foam, I'll link this for you too, because I bought so many different colors. They came in fun packs. I think it was like 3 different packs. Came with zipper pulls. And this is just a little plastic teeth, nothing crazy, no metal. And we're just going to use a certain amount. What I love about this is I can just use as much as I need. I don't have to worry about, do I have a zipper the right length? If you have a zipper that's the right length that has a stop on it, that's fine. But we don't need that for this. Our stop's going to get caught in the seam. So I'm just going to measure this out. And I always go longer than my bag. So as you see here, I don't even know how long my thing is. 16. So I ended up trimming down to 16. And so we can do it going this way, or if we want to, we could have our bag go this way. And this side is 14. It's a little smaller. If we go this way, then our opening is going to be a little more narrow, but our bag's going to be taller. If we go the other way, our opening is going to be wider, but our bag's not going to be as tall. So let's go this way. We'll go this shorter side. So we're going to measure, and I usually add about 1 inch overhang on both sides for your zipper, give you a little wiggle room. And I don't have my scissors, regular scissors in here, so I'm just going to cut this with my rotary cutter. Please don't judge me. I know. I'll just put a new blade in it. It needed a new blade anyways. Don't judge me. But I didn't grab scissors for my studio today. They're in my other sewing room. So we've got our zipper. Now there's 2 thoughts to this. We could put the zipper pull on now, or we could wait. It's totally up to you. Honestly, I find it easier to do it now while I have more movability of the zipper tape versus doing it once the 2 sides are sewn on and getting it straight. That cut through just like butter. It did when I was cutting around the foam. So I'm going to open this up. Now you could use a little jig like so, and I am horrible at these jigs, absolutely horrible, but I'm going to give it a go and see if I can do it today. See if it makes my life a little easier. See, I don't even know if I'm doing these right. Yeah, I don't think I am. I have never been able to figure out how to do these jigs. I just do it by hand. I don't know how to. Every time I try to use this jig, I get frustrated. And then I end up, maybe I need to go this way. Maybe that's it. Maybe I need to go that way. I end up getting frustrated watching a YouTube video. Am I putting it on the wrong side? I thought I was. Let's try it on this side. Well, I like to do it by hand. No quilt police here. No mercy. We don't have quilt police here. This is a judge-free zone for sure for all sewists, including myself. I'm my own worst critic, so trust me. I will give myself a hard enough time as it is. See, it's just easier for me to do it myself. All right. So I've got my zipper pull on. If anybody knows how to use these jigs, I get frustrated with them every time. I don't even know why I bother. It's confusing. Okay. Thank you, PJ. I'm glad I'm not the only one. All right. So we're going to sew this zipper on, and we're going to sew it right sides down. Okay. Because this is the front of our bag, right? This is the back of the bag. So we're going to sew it down like this. And what I like to do is clip mine in place. So if you want to use clips, or you can use pins, it's totally up to you. And I'm just going to like clip from the center out. Just make sure you're clipping and catching both the lining and the front and the zipper all the way across all those layers. Okay, Jess says she prefers the jig over doing it by hand. Jess, then I need you to teach me how to how to use the jig. I tell you, once I watch someone else's YouTube video on how to use the jig, I can use it. But I can't really do that when I am the one on YouTube teaching right now. All right, so I'm going to switch my foot. Let's switch my foot over here to a zipper foot. Swap that out. And I want to get close, so we're going to stitch here. Now I do back stitch. When doing the zipper, I am going to do a little bit of a back stitch, and I am lining up the teeth with like the edge of this part of the zipper foot. I know that's hard to see with the light. It's hard to see here. I'll put my hand over it. This edge of the foot is what's kind of up next to the teeth. And so that's way my stitch is getting pretty close. I'm going to keep at that same stitch length of 3.5 because now I've added another layer to this with the zipper tape. So not only do I have all the foam and the fabric, but now I have zipper tape. Now, when I get to this part right here, where my pull is, I don't want that to make be an issue when I am going around this. So what I do is I put my needle in the down position and I lift the foot and I take that zipper pull and I just slide it past the zipper foot. If I can get it past the zipper foot, there we go, but not all the way off. Whew, that was close. There we go. And then I put my foot back down and I can keep going. It's going to keep it nice and straight all the way across. So again, my zipper tape is right side down. The teeth are on the underside, but I can feel where they are and you can see the stitch line of where they are. All right, so I've got one side of my zipper attached. This is a great time to maybe take some pinking shears or some scissors and kind of trim down some of this seam allowance. And then we're going to want to fold this over and top stitch. Folding this over and top stitching is going to give you a nice, really clean, polished look. And I forgot all my scissors. I have no fabric scissors, paper scissors, I have snips. This is what happens when you have more than one sewing room. I'm going to trim this down a little bit. I would use my rotary cutter, but knowing my luck, I would cut right into my stitches. And I don't want to get that close, so. It doesn't have to be pretty, because this part, I'm not going to see. Normally, I would use pinking shears. That wasn't too bad. I'm just annoyed with myself. I've always been afraid of those zips, but you make it look so easy to do by hand. Tails, takes the fear away. Yeah, like zippers are not, they shouldn't be scary. They're not hard. They're a lot of fun. All right, I'm going to flip this over. And we're gonna, so I'm just flipping this over. I'm pushing this seam tape, the zipper tape and everything, the seam allowance over, and I'm gonna stitch as close to that edge as possible. So what I'm actually gonna do is switch, I'm just gonna leave this zipper foot on, so it works for what I need it to do. But I'm just gonna switch it to the other side so I can stitch a little closer. There we go. Now we're really thick. So I'm actually going to go up to 4mm stitch length. And I'm just going to kind of slide my finger up under here to get it going. There we go. All right, so we've got our top stitch. Not the prettiest top stitch I've ever done. That's okay. That's okay. So now we need to add the zipper, the other half of the zipper, to the other side of our bag. And so we're just going to fold it. And I like to line up my edges of my bag and place a clip just so that they stay edge to edge and don't get crooked, because that's never fun. So when you do that and you've got it like that, I'm actually going to switch to this overhead camera if I can. There we go. So I just folded it in half. Here's where it was attached originally. We folded it in half. I just put some clips here just to hold my bag in alignment. And then this top zipper is going to go right here, face down to the front side. So again, I'm going to take some clips and clip that in place. And we can stitch this side down. All right, so I'm going to sew across here, securing this side of the zipper, and now it's going to start taking shape as a bag. There we go. Now, when you're sewing thick material like this, it's not ideal to start right at the edge. So you see I've kind of started in. I'm going to take a few stitches forward and then back stitch to the edge and then keep going forward. That's going to prevent bunching, nesting, any issues getting started or your fabric not feeding through the machine. So sometimes you just have to help it out. And I never start sewing right on the edge of my fabric. I always start in a little bit and back out. And then it just makes it so much smoother. So if you ever have issues with bunching or anything, that is the best way to prevent that from happening. That nesting kind of problem on the backside can be a big issue for people. And that's the best way to get rid of that. All right, I'm gonna leave my foot down, lift. I'm gonna reach in here and grab the zipper pull and slide it past my zipper. There we go. All right, so let's see here. There's a couple of things that you can do now. You can completely take the zipper pull off and flip this over and top stitch this other side. It's up to you how you want to do that. It's probably easier to do it that way. I've seen people try to turn it right side out and try to top stitch, but that's hard to do through a tube. I've seen people kind of do it as they go across. So, I mean, we could try that method, but mine is kind of going the wrong direction. So I think I'm just going to take the zipper pull off. So basically what I'm doing, and I don't have to take it all the way off, but most of the way off. It's probably easy to just take it off. But what I'm doing that for is so I can flip this back and top stitch this other side really well. So it looks nice on both sides. So we can reattach the zipper pull. What's nice about having the zipper pull attached the first time is honestly just so that your zipper is alignment between the two sides. So we'll just reattach the zipper pull. Some people will attach the zipper first and then the zipper tape and then do the zipper pull. It's personal preference. Whatever you find easiest. But if you get to this point and you're like, oh, I think I need to take it off, just know you can put it back on because we didn't put a stop in our zipper. If you put a stop in your zipper, it's a little more challenging. If you have like zipper tabs and ends, obviously you can't take it off then. This is your first time sewing with foam, you might want to use a heavier needle than like an 80-20. You might want to use a 90 or 100. I will usually just throw a denim needle in my machine for these thicker projects just because it's a little more durable for these bulky projects. All right, I'm going to reattach this real quick and read any questions or comments. And it's easier for me to do it going this way. We'll get there. Did you trim the zipper down? Not the ends yet. I will before we box it up. I like the extraness of it. To give me some wiggle room so I don't get off. Especially when I have to reattach a zipper pull. I've been over here fighting with my machine, didn't think about the piecing foot, but happy now with my walking foot. Yeah, so you don't have to use, sorry, I gotta hold this in my lap. You don't have to use a 1/4 inch piecing foot for Quilt-As-You-Go. You can use a walking foot and just make sure you're using a 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's just easier to mark that 1/4 inch seam allowance. It's easier to mark it with a 1/4 inch foot. Like you can see it, you don't have to mark your material or mark your, but if you can follow a guide on your machine or if you have a seam guide to put next to your walking foot, that usually really helps with that. Just food for thought. Oh my word. Look, I never said I was good at putting zipper pulls. Hold on. I never said I was good at putting zipper pulls on zippers. Never, ever. And I'll never say I am. No matter how many times I do it, I get frustrated. But we're going to figure it out and we're going to get on there. I think I got it. I think I got it. I think I got it. Yay. Okay. Woo! Got it. And I didn't trim that seam allowance down the second time because I just didn't want to deal with it with my little snips. But you can. You don't have to if you don't want to. It's up to you. Personal preference. But if it's really, really bulky, you may want to. Okay, so I've got it zipped. I actually need to turn it right side or wrong side out. So I'm going to do that. And hopefully it won't completely unzip. It was easier to put the zipper pull on with it right side out, which is why I did that. Okay, so now I have it. And I'm not going to zip it all the way across because we're going to sew up these sides in a minute. But let me switch to my overhead camera real quick. What would I use this bag for? I use these bags for makeup bags. I use them for so many different things, like putting sewing supplies in. I'm gonna make this one to put like wipes and stuff in as a baby shower gift. Okay, so what I like to do is we're gonna split the difference. So here's my zipper, here's the opposite end. I like to put a little pin or clip there. So let me just stick a little pin in it. All right, so that's the opposite. I'm gonna do that on both sides. Something like that. Okay. And then what I do is I open it and kind of lay it down and I line the zipper up with that pin. I'm going to do that on both sides. Now this side, my zipper's open because I am not shutting it all the way. So I'm going to lay it on either side of that pin as if it was shut and clip on both sides. Okay, now I can take those pins out so I don't accidentally sew over them. Okay, so if you want to add, where's my other bag? If you want to add a little tab, we're going to do that real quick because I find it's really helpful to have a tab to open and close it, to have something to hold on to. Okay, so to make a little tab, let's do this cute little yellow, and we'll do one on each side. So this is 2 inches wide, and I like to, there's a couple of different ways you can do these little tabs, but I like to fold it in half and give it a quick little press. And then I'll fold to the center and then fold it in half again. It makes a pretty narrow tab if that's what you want to do. It's totally up to you how you like to do it. Some people like a wider tab. That's personal preference. And I just made these little smaller, so. It's almost like making like bias tape, bias binding. Woo. She hot. Okay, so that is a tab for one side. And if I want to make it, this is, I think, like, I don't know, how long is this? 8 inches long. We can make this shorter. We could make them like little 4-inch tabs. So we'll just make one of these and cut them down and make them shorter. So let's take this foot off. I'm just going to put my regular all-purpose foot on for now. And I'm just going to stitch this fold closed, this double fold. I'm just going to stitch it closed and as close to the edge as I can, but I am going to go down and stitch length because I'm not sewing over foam now. There we go. So I've got a little tab here, and I'm going to cut this in half, and we'll have 2 tabs. There we go. That's where I want to cut it. That's my precise measurement. Look, I eyeball a lot of things that I do. So I have my 2 little tabs here, and one is they're just gonna get folded. And I want them to be like right below where the zipper is on either side. So I'm going to, let me switch to this camera. So I'm going to take this tab and I'm going to stick it in here opposite of my zipper and line up the edge with the edge there. Now this would be an ideal time to trim this up. So let's do that real quick. I'm going to use my rotary because this one is going to have to get replaced at this point anyways. There we go. So I've got my zipper tab, and my foam all together. Here's my clip. We're going to do the same thing to the other side. This time, I'm going to fold it. And stick it down in there, right between the teeth, and clip the teeth and everything together right here in the middle. There we go. All right, and we've got our zipper pull is open a little bit. So when we're done, we can turn it right side out. So now we're gonna stitch down both sides, and we're gonna make sure we lengthen that stitch again. I'm probably gonna start at 4, and I am not starting right at the edge. We're gonna come in a little bit. Okay. And I'm just going to use this foot that I have on here. This is my general purpose foot. I am using a little bit of a wider seam allowance this time, so it's about 3/8 of an inch. Ooh. Okay, so see how I started in, I went back really fast, and then I came back forward, and it was just fine because I had already created that previous stitch to follow, like a guide. So it makes it really easy. Okay, so when you go over the zipper, I actually go over it a few times. So I'm going to back stitch all the way across the zipper. This creates that zipper stop. And then I'm going to go back forward again. All right. All right, so there's one side. Let's go over here and do the other side. Forward, back to the edge, and then forward. Okay, I'm going to trim a few little loosey-goosey threads. And now we're going to box our bag. And this is where I would say most people get a little nervous because I'm going to ask you to cut into your bag. And of course, I do not have my fabric scissors in here, so this is going to be real fun. We're going to do it anyways because I am not prepared without my fabric scissors. Okay, so boxing your bag means a couple things. It means that we're going to give it this square shape, right? And to do that, it's called boxing the bottoms, boxing the bag. There's several different methods to do so. And how deep you box it is going to affect the bag as well. So because this bag is not it's going to be longer than it is tall, I am going to do a shorter box, a smaller box, but I want to make sure it's square. So let's see here. I'm going to do like 1.5. I'm going to see if I can get this a little closer for you guys. So let me move some stuff around and zoom in for you so you can see better. Okay, so what we're going to do is take these corners. So we're going to start at one of our corners. I've got a friction pin for marking fabric, and I've just got the corner of one of my rulers. It's a square ruler, and I've got an inch mark here, but this is my 1.5. I'm going to line that up with the seam allowance here, and I'm going to do a 1.5. Actually, I'm going to line it up with my stitch line. So I'm going to line the 1.5 up with my stitch line, and then I'm going to line the 1.5 up with the base here. Okay, so don't include your seam allowance, because then it won't be square. Your seam allowance is not a part of that. So stitch line and base, this fold, okay? That is 1.5. If you look at it here, it's square, 1.5. And I'm going to draw an outline of that square, just like that. There it is. I'm going to do that to all 4 corners. 1.5, 1.5. Let's see here. So this time I'm going to go this way. 1.5 here to the stitch line, and 1.5 there along the base. Let's see here. 1.5, 1.5. Okay, there are my squares. And now I'm going to do the impossible and cut these with scissor snips, and we're going to cut it out. Cut this square out. Thank goodness I have my favorite scissor snips in here, and they're pretty awesome. There we go. We're going to do that to all 4 sides. This part makes people nervous, but you got to trust the process and use the right scissors. Use your good fabric scissors to cut into this. Do as I say, not as I do, because I forgot my fabric scissors down the hall. There we go. There we go. There we go. All right. So these can just get tossed. We don't need those anymore. And we're going to open these up. So when I say open these up, let me actually zoom out so you can see that whole process. So we're going to take one of these openings, these squares, and we're going to pull it apart. So this corner and this corner, we're just going to stick our fingers in there, pull it apart, line it up, these edges, okay, and clip. And we're going to, and I broke a clip. There we go. We're going to do that to all 4 side. All right. So now what we're going to do is, this has kind of become a long tube one. I actually really love it. We're going to stitch along all 4 of these along the side. And I'm going to use that same like 3/8 inch seam allowance. You can use less if you want. And this is where you're going to just kind of have to squish your bag down. Okay. So squish it down. Don't forget to start in and then back out. Makes it a lot easier to get started. For these bulky seams, you're just going to have to kind of squish them down. You can lengthen your stitch length a little bit more if you need to get over those. There we go. So there's one. And we'll go back through and like trim up these threads and stuff. And then I'm going to show you how to finish this off, or tell you how to finish this off if you want to not have raw edges. You can bind over those if you like. That's personal preference. If it's for me, I don't really care. If it's a gift, I usually bind them. I just don't love having to do binding. If I can avoid it. So if it's for me, I just use pinking shears to prevent fraying and call it a day, because I don't really care. I'm going to put a bunch of stuff in it anyways and probably not ever notice. And honestly, I've never noticed that they weren't finished off. But if you want to finish it off, you can bind here and along here and hide all of that. And you can bind with matching fabric. You can bind with fabric that matches the outside or different. It's up to you. All right. One more. All right. So real quick for binding, here's my busted clip. I do have a few pieces of fabric here. They're kind of long, so let's look at these. I'm going to I don't need it to be that long. So just to make it faster and easier, I'm just going to show you on one, and then you guys can decide if you want to do it or not. I will be going back through and doing it on all of these since this is going to be a gift. So I just press, these are 2-inch wide strips, and I just press them in half. And then I'm going to fold to the center and press, just like a double fold, kind of like we did for the tab, but this is for the binding. And it's just a fold over binding is what I'm making. So I press in half to kind of create that center crease like that. And so this is all folded, and then we'll fold in half again. Like I said, just like we did for the little tab. Okay. So what you would basically do, and I'm gonna make you guys dizzy with these buttons, aren't I? Okay. So what you're gonna do is basically fold this binding over. So here's the where it folds into itself, and then it folds so it's got no raw edges. That's the point. You can fold this right over that seam and clip it on and top stitch across it. And what I like to do is go a little bit past it on both sides, and I'll fold this in and fold it under. Does that make sense? I'm going to zoom in a little bit for you. So, and it's okay if this is too long because we'll just cut it off. But I like to fold it, like put this to one side of my seam, okay? Or my seam allowance here. And then I bring it up and over, keep it folded. So I have like a fold here, a fold here. It's all no raw edges. But then I've got raw edges right here. And so what I'll do is I'll just kind of tuck that under, fold it under, and then go around it. Does that make sense? I hope it does. So you can just like tuck this under and fold it in. And if you want to press it first, you can. I just kind of do it as I go because this is on the inside. Remember that. Like we're just covering the raw edges. So it doesn't have to like be perfect. And then I'll just clip this on and I'll just kind of tuck those little corners in as I go, as I stitch along. And so what I would do is just stitch all the way across here, and then I'll trim this off and tuck that end in. And stitch across. See how it's going to clean that up and look really nice compared to this edge. And once you do all these four corners, you can also, or you could have done this edge too. I didn't. So I'm probably going to end up making more than one of these, but I just wanted to show you that you can add binding to these. If you want to add binding to this before you box the bottoms and then do it to the box bottoms, you can. It's totally up to you if you want to do binding on it. Personal preference. I know a lot of people prefer it, and that's fine. And I usually do for gift ones that I'm giving as gifts, but for myself, I just don't care. Just don't care. So I'm going to turn it right side out. We'll see what we're looking at. This is where one of these fun little point turner tools comes in handy to kind of run along your seams. We've got our little tabs on the end. This would actually make a really nice like pencil case. I really think that turned out cute. I've got a loose thread. There we go. Voila. There's you a boxed Quilt-As-You-Go bag. And look, every time I make one of these, they end up a different size because I just kind of go with the flow. If you like what you make, write it down. Don't do like me. Actually write it down. But I think the stripes actually turned out really cute. This one doesn't have any stripes. It's just solid fabric. This one has stripes going at a diagonal, which is really fun. And this one's just straight up and down. And it like looks really nice. Super cute. You could also, Sandra, yes, you could serge the edges. You might want to be a little careful with that where the zippers are though, because the serger has a blade that trims off excess. So maybe just avoid trimming where the zipper is. But you could serge the edges. That's actually what I normally do, but I didn't bring a serger in here today. But serging means it just kind of like encloses all those edges and stitches so you don't have to bind it. But a lot of people who make these do the fold over binding. But yeah, if you're going to do that, if you want to get the side seam, do the binding on that first and then box your corners and then do those. But yeah, I'm totally making mine a slim pencil case right now because I only did 8 strips. That's fine. Perfect. I think it's fun. I think this would actually hold a little bag of wipes really well and maybe some creams and stuff. So I may find the inside of this one and use it as part of my gift. But having the tab on both sides makes it easy to open and then turn around and close. So I kind of like the tabs on both sides. That's something new. You could put a little keychain on this if you want, with a lobster claw, so it can clip to another bag if you want. Um, Gosh, it's really stinking cute. This is why I don't make gifts for other people, because I end up wanting to keep them for myself. I really like how this turned out. If you liked how this turned out, please go make one. I'd love to see your finished Boxy bag, especially a Quilt-As-You-Go Boxy bag, since that's what we did today. I know this was a bit of a longer live today, but I appreciate you hanging out with me and going through it. If you do make one, send me a DM with the photo. If you post it online, please tag me, Craft with Bethany. I'd love to see it. I have so many people that send me DMs of their projects because they don't like post them online. And I love to see those, and they'll let me share them in my stories, because it just reminds me of why I put in all the work to do these kind of things for you all. When I see other people make creations, beautiful creations from my tutorials. So it means the world to me. It's why I do it. I'm glad you guys are enjoying it. What size of fabric is the one in your hand? This one. So this one, I did the corners, I boxed the corners 1.5 inches, and the finished bag, it's about 10 inches across and about a little over 4 inches this way and 10 inches this way. I think when I made it, it was, what did we say it was? I measured it earlier. You'll have to watch the replay because I already forgot. This is why you need to write it down. I'll watch the replay. I've heard that if you bind it, it helps to make it even more structured. Your bag turned out great. I don't know if it really helps with the stability because we're using foam. It's not an issue. It's foam. It just cleans it up. It just makes it look a little prettier on the inside. But it's personal preference on that. Really pretty. I will buy the fusible flexible foam and do a few for my bazaar. Yeah, these would be fun. I know I have friends that make stuff like this, and they'll, instead of doing the Quilt-As-You-Go because it takes longer, they'll just do a solid piece of fabric. They'll make like mini ones for like little giveaways or teachers that have them in their little treasure box in their classroom. Great baby shower gift size. I think so too. This is like the perfect makeup bag size. I don't know. But I also like this one for all my brushes because I can, like, with my makeup, I can just, it opens up really big. So again, just have fun with it. Just have fun and play. You don't need a lot of material. You can start big, you can start small, somewhere in between. Get the zipper tape, some foam, and scrap fabric and play. You can keep it flat and not turn it into a boxy bag, and just bind it, make placemats. Just play with it, have fun with it. Your strips can be different sizes and widths. It can be really like just a fun little project. You could just make a little table topper. Again, just have fun and play. That's the whole point of all of these fun sew-alongs, is like, I'm going to show you the steps to make it, but like, there's so many other ways that you can do this, and just have fun with it. I hope you enjoy it. It does look larger than 4 inches by 10 inches because it's 3-dimensional, I guess. I don't know. If you are up for hanging out and here in about an hour, Audra and I are going to go live right here on my YouTube channel and also on our podcast YouTube channel, the Social Hour Podcast. And we're going to be doing a fun like recap of the Project Runway episode 1 and 2 for the new season, season 21. So if you'd like to come and hang out with me, I'm going to go eat some food because I really haven't eaten food today. And then I'm going to come back in an hour and we're going to talk all things Project Runway. So I've got to clean up my mess in here, but thank you again for hanging out with me. And if you're not hanging out this evening at 7 o'clock for the next, in an hour for the next live, just know the Social Hour Podcast is a podcast for sewists by sewists. Audra and I sew. We both work in the industry. We invite a lot of amazing teachers and educators and designers to be on our podcast as well. And we release a new episode every Tuesday. So you can watch on YouTube at the Social Hour Podcast, or you can listen on Apple Podcasts or Spotify or wherever you listen to podcasts. It streams everywhere. We'd appreciate your support. If you haven't already subscribed to my channel, please do so. And I'll be back in an hour. I'm going to go caffeinate myself and eat some food, and I'll come hang out with you here in a little bit again. But thank you so much. Project Runway. Yes, Francie, we're going to be back in an hour and hang out and talk all things Project Runway. And Sandra, thank you. 17 by 14 turned into a 10 by 4. Okay. 17 by 14 turned into a 10 by 4-ish. All right, guys. Have a good one. Thank you so much. And I'll see you at the next sew along.